Good evening, everyone. In 1860, William Proctor, he set up a coach building and wheelwrighting business in Ballarat in Sturt Street. The coach and horse-drawn vehicle, it was the king of the road. We all needed it. So this is an advertisement from 1861 from the newspaper, and he talks about how good his vehicles were and that he was going to purchase a large amount of machinery from the United States of America, specialist machinery designed for making wooden wheels and carriages. This is Sturt Street in Ballarat. This photo was taken in 1871 from the Town Hall Tower. There's Sturt Street, St Patrick's Cathedral, St Andrew's Kirk, and just here is William Proctor's Wheelwrights. Very small frontage, but it went back a long, long way. So that's where we were, but this is now. So this is Sovereign Hill's reproduction of William Proctor's Wheelwrights and Coachbuilders. Through that doorway there's a whole heap of machinery, all designed specifically for making carriages and wooden wheels. And it's the only place in the world where all that machinery is together and operating. So where did this machinery come from? What is it? This is the machinery. It was all made by the Defiance Machine Works in Ohio in the United States and America. And each machine has a specific job. It was where the Industrial Revolution really sort of kicked into manufacturing. So this centre machine here, it's a mortising machine. It was first patented in 1880, and its job is designed just to make the centre, like to put the rectangular holes in. Where did it come from? Ohio, United States. That's Defiance Machine Works. They say that they were established in 1850, but the business name was only registered in 1872. So there's a little bit of a mismatch there. But that particular machinery that we have, it was imported in 1913 by Healy Brothers. They were timber merchants, timber gatherers. That was in Dora Creek up near Newcastle. That's their original building. That's where the machinery went to. It was imported all the way across the world to this little place here, and it was set up here just to make spokes, hubs, wheels. And it was value adding. They had these beautiful big logs so they could value add. They were initially just doing basic sort of building framing and timbering. This is the machinery set up. So we have this hub drill. This photo's from 1921. You can see the pile of hubs there. They were producing trainloads of components that they were sending all over the world. They were operating this machinery, and they had a coach building department until 1980. Now we've got a bit of colour. See the wheels on this vehicle? They were made by Mike Hendrickson. He acquired the machinery from about 1980 onwards, and this is used in the coronation. That's the Australian State Coach, and it's in the Royal Mews. But he had all this machinery, but he was eventually wanting to retire. But now we're back at Sovereign Hill. We're going to jump. This is Lindsay Collins. He was the first coach builder that Sovereign Hill had. We still have his workbench with his name stamped into it. He started working in where the gold pour is, but then in 1981 they built this purpose-built building specifically to house William Proctor's Wheelwrights. So he set up there and they were making the carriages. And then in 1987 or 86, I'll have to confirm that, he's just sitting there, Barry Hoare arrived on the scene. And every vehicle that we have at Sovereign Hill and every vehicle that we use has had Barry's hands in creating it. So he was making all these, but we were still getting our wheels off Mike Hendrickson in Sydney. But then Mike was looking to retire, and then Sovereign Hill went, if he retires, where do we get our wheels from? So in 1994, and then finally finished in 95, they added this extension on. And all this extension, so you can see the original part there, but all this extension is to house all this machinery that we got from the Defiance Machine Works in Ohio. And we're running daily demonstrations. But to keep the machinery running, it's old machinery, it's over 100 years old. It takes a bit of work. So here's our mortiser. This is the original advertising material. We've got a mustachioed gentleman there, but you can see those highlighted blues. There's two shafts that run through there. So in 2010, we actually had to get this taken away. We cut a hole in the wall, and you can see the mesh there. Hole in the wall, we actually craned the machine out and got it sent away and got it remachined for new bearings. But then a few years later on, these crank arms here, and you can just see them attached there, they're going, the big pulley at the top, it's doing 300 RPM. And we measured it the other day, it's a fraction over. These crank arms are going up and down, going really fast, but there was a crack in this one and we went, oh, we can't do that. So we got a new crank arm made up, and it takes a little bit of work. And then when we were refitting it, as we were refitting it, this little process here, these are the shell bearings, they're bronze. You can see this one here, it's got a little bit of blue on it. That's not good bearing contact. So we scrape it and we do it again. But we noticed as we were doing that something wasn't quite right. The crank on the top was bent. So we had to get a new crank made, because as we were trying to work it out to whether we could machine it, it was cracked as well. So how do we get it done? We got a new one cast by Hasco Foundry in Ballarat. This is the actual 3D model of the mould. They 3D printed this mould in sand. So 0.3 of a mil, a layer of sand, then some binder. 0.3 of a mil of sand, a binder, put a top on it, pour molten metal in, and then da-da, you end up with a completed crank. But then when you pour molten metal, the metal's really hot, it's all out there, it's all expanded and liquid. And as it cools, it shrinks and it pulls in. And you get a little bit of stress in there. And we've cast it a little bit oversized to allow for some machining tolerances, some post-machining, because we had to get it sent to M&W Engine Services. They're just up there in Howard Street, and they've got a specialist crank grinding machinery, because you could do it here with our machinery, but they're set up to do it properly. And they're going within 1/1000th of an inch in accuracy. So we had it sent to them, but beforehand we had to get it stress relieved, and thank you to Murray Brown who did that for us. So machined, but then it has to be balanced because it's spinning at 300 RPM, which is not that big for RPM when you talk about automotive things, but on a big machine, big heavy thing. So this specialist machinery here is for balancing it. So that then allows us to run the machine once it's all assembled, re-scraped all the bearings in. Oh, here we go. $115 years ago. Anyway.